everyone, and welcome back to the channel once again. Today is just going to be a short video on how to actually saw wood in a straight line, how to follow the line, not deviate off the line, and so forth. So the first thing to mention whenever you're wanting to saw in a straight line or follow a line is that you have to be using a decent saw. So don't buy a a £1 saw and expect it to be able to cut straight, and it's going to buckle and it's going to bend on you, and it's just not going to be up to the job. So particularly for actually rip cutting, it might do a few cross cuts okay, but if you want to rip a board or rip a plank of wood down the middle, then obviously the ideal thing is a table saw or an electric circular saw. But if all you have is a handsaw, if all you can afford is a handsaw, then buy a decent one. This Baco handsaw here only costs about £6 or £7 out of Toolstation, so it's not an expensive purchase, and it's very worth it. It's not worth trying to struggle with a cheap saw. So when you're holding a saw, just put 3 fingers round the handle and grip it not too tight but moderately tight, and make sure your index finger is extended here. Always make sure of that. That keeps the saw in a straight line. If you didn't have that and you were holding it like that, the saw would have a tendency to wobble either way, but this just makes the saw a little bit more rigid. So I've got a piece of wooden device here. I've already got a line marked on it where I want to saw down. So I start with the saw round about this sort of angle. I don't want to start with it too flat because you're trying to actually dig the teeth into such a great surface area at once that the saw might actually skid like that. So you're better just trying to start on a point such as this. You could start this way as well. Some people prefer starting at that side. I'm just going to start here, and always use your thumb to start the saw. Don't try starting it just like that. Because that, again, the saw has a tendency to skate either way. So just, or you can even use another finger, but I tend to use my thumb just to start the saw. Obviously beware of the blade, but just to get you a start, and hold it at a bit of an angle, and then as you establish the cut, you can begin to flatten the saw out. And if you feel as if, again, keep this finger extended at all times, if you feel as if you're deviating from the line any, try and just fletch your hand back and forward slightly just to correct it. Don't overdo it. If you feel as if you're going a little bit too much to the left, just flick your wrist ever so slightly to the right, and that should correct it. So really, when you're sawing, you're actually constantly flicking your wrist just to adjust. Even if you're doing it subconsciously, you're basically just subconsciously adjusting. So just keep going with it. Follow the line as closely as you can. And once you get right down into the wood, then you can start altering the path of the saw a bit. You can start coming down at a bit more of an angle, or you can go up at a bit more of an angle. I've just started to come off the line slightly here, so I'm just going to twist the saw slightly in just to get back on the line. Yeah, that's me back on. Just do your very best. This is not a cut you would typically make a lot, because you would generally try to buy wood the size that you're looking for, or you would cut it with a table saw or an electric saw. This is just a demonstration to show you how it can be done. Some cabinet makers do still cut everything by hand, and they would do it this way. Another thing about sawing is I've seen a lot of people sawing and they might saw like this or like this. Try not to do that. Try to have confidence in your ability and try to use the whole length of the saw blade. I'm just going to move the piece of wood up in the vise a bit. It's starting to jam a little bit, so. And by this point, you really should feel the pain shooting up your arm. Just going to move it up a little bit more. I've just come off the line just a little bit here, so I'm just going to have to correct it again. And just to show you, I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom, just to show you what this is like. I'm just going to cut it off here. Okay, so as you can see, pretty decent cut considering it's with a handsaw. Obviously try and use a table saw, or get a loan of a table saw, or use an electric saw where you can, or get whoever you're buying the timber off of, try and get them to cut it for you if they have this facility. If not, then if you don't have the size of wood you're looking for, you can certainly use this technique. So I hope you're able to use that at some point. I hope you found this useful and interesting, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.